I am joined today by John Filkowski. I pronounced that right?
Correct.
Okay. And we're going to be talking, well, all things Rangers, and there isn't many good things this last 10 days. So, for starters, John, how you been dealing with the last 2 weeks of just nothing from this team?
um, to put it lightly, I would say I want to smash my head through a wall. The video of or the GIF from Mad TV where the guy goes and just absolutely just walks up to the wall and just smashes his head right through it is pretty much the New York Rangers in a nutshell right now. I don't understand how this team could be so bad yet have so much talent on it at the same time. It's frustrating. I don't understand a lot of the things that are happening, and I know we're going to get into that, so I don't want to say too much. But that's basically a summary. If you want me to sum it up.
Right. And I mean, it's frustrating because there's more talent on this team than what they're showing. You know that there's more depth on this team than what they're showing. But it's so difficult right now being a Ranger fan and then looking at this division and going, we can make it back from this. They're digging themselves a huge hole.
Yeah, and it's closing up quick. The air supply is definitely running a little short. I know we were just talking about how shortened season and being over halfway to the 1/5 point of the season, the 20% mark.
Mm-hmm.
11 games is basically 1/5, and they're 1-4-1. You start off 2-7-2 in your first 11 games. You're not looking good to try to make the playoffs. Really
Yeah,
not.
you're looking more like you're gonna get the number one pick again. Even if the lottery balls don't bounce their way, they still might end up with the number one pick.
Yeah.
That's how bad they're. That's how uphill this division is. I mean, there's no punching bags. That's a
No.
huge thing.
No, because the two punching bags that everybody thought that the Rangers would have beat them this week.
Yes, and I mean, we could go off and say Mackenzie Blackwood made 47 saves. Did it feel like it? Did
No,
that
he
feel like
wasn't
a
tested in the
47
first
save
half of that
game?
game.
I mean, there's mental mistakes. Like Alexander Georgiev, speaking about which in the first part of that game, he was standing up and they just shot it right by him. Like that was the first 30 seconds. Like that's just a mental thing. It didn't even look like he was ready for it.
No.
Um, like there isn't a game so far where I could say the Rangers were the best team on the ice, but they lost.
I thought they played well enough to win the Jersey game, but they didn't give you 60 minutes. I thought that they played
Mm-hmm.
well enough to win the two games in Pittsburgh, but again, they didn't give you 60 minutes. Buffalo game, I didn't think they played well enough to win. And then the second Islander game was just okay. The Islanders just came out even more flat than the Rangers did in the opening game of the season. So if you
Mm-hmm.
in that game, that's a big problem because a Barry Trotz team does not come out flat like that often. And
No.
so, yeah, count your blessings when you come across the Islanders playing like that because they do not come out like that often. The biggest thing for me is with all these games, and I would say more so the first five because I don't think goaltending was the problem in the last game, but the goaltending wasn't good enough to win them games number 3, 4, and 5. And if you have solid goaltending in those games entering last night's game, you're 4-1.
And it's funny that you mentioned that because I am going to mention talk about goaltending when we're going into what works and what doesn't right now. But Igor Shesterkin gave them great goaltending in the first game, even with you could argue the bad goal from the Barzell goal, but he kept them in the game. If you want to say it like that, 3-0 in the first period and 4-0 or late. But I mean, he hasn't been himself either.
No.
I mean,
I would definitely agree with you there. I didn't think he was particularly good in the first game because he let up two really soft goals that really hurt them. I think the Anders Lee goal, I get it, it's a 2-on-1. but
Yeah.
you still got a piece of that shot. You got to stop that. And then the Barzal goal, even Steven Valiquette broke that down after the game and did the numbers on it. And it was like, I think it was like a 7.5% chance of scoring on that type of play from that area. So if that's the case, you should be stopping that shot.
Yes. 100%.
I will agree with you, though, however, that he did keep them in that game to a point because that game could have been a complete blowout by the end of the first period, and the Rangers could have been out of it there. So I'll secede to that.
Right, but the rest of it, as I know a rant, I'm going to let you take this one right here. That I read on Facebook from a Mr. John Filkowski that Igor Shesterkin hasn't really looked himself.
No, and it's scary because before the car accident, he was dominating just like he has in every other league he's played in. He's dominated in the KHL. He dominated in the AHL. And then when he came up those first however many games before the car accident, he dominated in the NHL. He
was unbeaten in the month of February.
Exactly. It's incredible. And then that car accident happens. He comes back. He has one or two shaky games and another one or two good games on top of that. And then they go into the playoffs after the reset and everything, and he just did not look good in the one game that he played. But I'll say a caveat with that. The team looked like absolute crap against Carolina.
Yeah.
All 3 games of that series. When Kaapo Kakko is your best forward and you have guys like Artemi Panarin, Mika Zibanejad, Chris Kreider, and so on, and your best player is a rookie who was maligned for playing as bad as he had because he looked either out of shape or he looked just not able to adjust to the NHL at such early an age, then that's a big problem. So I can't fault Igor there, but he hasn't looked good in any of the games this season. And Alexander Georgiev, he didn't look good. He wasn't really particularly tested against the Islanders in his win against them, but he was tested against Jersey and didn't look good against Jersey. And I get that the Buffalo goals were 2 of them were power play goals and the penalty kill is much maligned and so on. But you still got to make the save sometimes. Your goaltender be your best penalty killer always. And if you're not getting that goaltending on the penalty kill, you're not going to kill penalties and you're going to lose games. So this is the situation we're in right now.
I think I have a simple, quick fix to the goaltending, and it is a quick fix. Go acquire Henrik Lundqvist and put him on the bench because apparently all these goalies played well when Henrik was on the bench.
Oh, my God. Yeah. I mean, I would love to have him in the organization, just have him like with the 2 kids and with Benny Allaire and just have him just calm them down or something. I don't know what's going on.
I know, and I gotta agree with that. So let's also take a couple minutes to go for every Ranger fan's favorite punching bag right now, Jack Johnson.
Oh,
I mean, this guy
because I could go on and on.
I'll start it first. This guy has been as bad as advertised. He started his first shift as a New York Ranger, started with a penalty that led to the game-winning goal. That's your first shift. He's somebody that hasn't you look over and you go, well, you got defense pairings to figure out where guys go. Lindgren and Fox, for instance, those guys, pure harmony. I mean, almost to the level of Leach and Bukaboom, but we'll see about that in future time. It looks like we got a second pairing, and Jacob Trouba has got his guy. That's Condre Miller. Okay, we're gonna keep going with this. More on Condre later, but then it leaves you with Jack Johnson, who's not defensively reliable, with Tony DeAngelo. Oh, I mean, my favorite Billy Joel album is Turnstiles.
I know exactly where you're going with that one.
And that's pretty much where they are. So I see it to you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny because everybody thought that the defense would be like the one big question mark entering this season. And I'll give the defense their due. At times they've played much better than expected. Mm-hmm. But Jack Johnson has been nothing short of a dumpster fire on skates. Like if Bauer wanted to promote a rolling dumpster fire, or that dumpster that's like literally traveling down that hill street in the middle of the flood. I mean, you could literally put a Bauer logo on there and Jack Johnson's face and it would be accurate, because that's basically what he's been. The analytics told you so. The eye test has told you so for about, I would say, at least 3-4 years now, if not longer. I don't know. I really don't know if it was a favor to Jock Martin or if JD was involved with this, because we know that JD has familiarity with him from his days in Columbus. And, he was there when he was actually there when JD got there and everything and so on. But if this is something that has the blessing, I should say, of the higher powers like JD himself, is that a big yikes moment for this organization? Because look at what happened with Braden Schneider. You saw the behind the scenes on Braden Schneider and why they took him and everything like that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the big things about Braden Schneider when they were talking about it in that footage, for anyone who hasn't seen it, is that they wanted grit, they wanted toughness, and they wanted someone that was going to be tough to play against come playoff time. Because JD even mentions the words, well, come playoffs, those are the types of defensemen that help you win games and that are tough to play against and so on. And to me, that's the old gritty boy, North American boy club mentality that the NHL has kind of gotten away from, the kind of defenders who have been antiquated and left behind in the past. And listen, Schneider is much better than McElrath. And he's much better than people give credit for. I'm not going to sit here and slam Braden Schneider. But it's the mentality that behind the reason that they drafted Braden Schneider that kind of really closely resonates in why they signed Jack Johnson. And not only that, but a favor, obviously, to either Jock Martin or JD or to Jack Johnson himself, whatever the case may be. I don't know where the linkage is there. I think there's multiple people to blame in that. But you cannot bring this guy on board. You can't. People were complaining about Mark Stahl. You literally clicked the downgrade button from Mark Stahl to Jack Johnson. And you did it handily. It's bad. So, I mean, I want to give the defense a pass, but Jacob Trouba, let me tell you right now, that guy's got to start earning his contract.
Yep.
He's got it. And this team will not go anywhere without a guy who's supposed to be eating close to 20 minutes or more per game, because I don't know what pairing they're going to put him on going forward if Fox and Lindgren keep playing the way they do. But you can't have Jacob Trouba playing like this and not earning his check, because that contract's going to become immovable at some point, and that's going to be a major problem when the team wants to start adding final pieces when they're in win-now mode. So,
well, that was actually one of my fears in the Tony DeAngelo contract, and I'm happy with the contract that they got from him, because the contract I cite is the Jacob Trouba contract. Jacob Trouba was supposed to be the number one defenseman going against the number one line, and he was going to be our guy. Yeah, he was also going to be the power play point man. Yeah, it hasn't worked out like that. I still have no doubt Jacob Trouba is a good defenseman, but on the other hand, they're going to have to plan something different or use them in different ways. But $8 million for a second pairing defenseman and a second power play quarterback, no, that's not good.
No, not at all.
We still got 7 more years of him, if I recall correctly. 8 years at $8 million. Well, it might be 7. It might be 7. Or
I could look that up. I believe his deal was I think it was a 7-year, $56 million deal, if I'm correct.
But also, let me just look right to the camera and just say, Jack Johnson has Ranger fans asking for Brendan Smith to be put in the lineup. Think about that one for a second.
You know what? I'm going to stop. I'm going to cut you off there. Brendan Smith has actually played well. And Brendan, if we're going to be fair and we're not going to be biased, we're not going to be unobjective or subjective or anything like that. Brendan Smith has played very well. He went back on defense last year and played surprisingly well, despite the fact that he played the first half of the season at forward. Remember, they had until late January playing forward, and he actually played well to end the season with Trouba. Why was that pairing not put back together?
Or how about this one? Again, you got Tony DeAngelo, who it seems like the Tony DeAngelo experiment is over. They're done with Tony DeAngelo. He played the first game, took a bad penalty. The power play didn't do anything, and they removed him from the top power play unit. One game. I mean, I don't. And me personally, I'm not a huge fan of him. Not even just the just the way he plays. I'm not a huge fan. He won me over a little bit last year, and I'm like, okay, let's see what this is. But I mean, I don't think he's long for this team. And I was saying this with you off the air. And if it's going to be, if he either goes in the expansion draft or he's going to get traded sooner than later.
You see, this thing, I don't. You know as well as many that he's the only defenseman since Brian Leetch to break the 50-point mark. And not only that, he was on pace for 65 points last year. He was either third or fourth in even strength amongst defensemen. I think
that one I did not know.
Yeah, that he was really high up in even strength points amongst defensemen. He was one of the four best in the league. And not only that, but I know that a lot of people that don't like Tony DeAngelo for whatever reason, whether it's the hockey play itself or the politics, I know he draws the ire of many people who lean to the left politically. But he will always be an offensive defenseman. He's not going to be a guy that's going to be an elite shutdown defender. But the Rangers have dealt with those types of defenders before. And I'm not going to sit here and say bad things about Brian Leetch. But if you're going to tell me that Brian Leetch was renowned for his defense and not his offense, you're crazy. And you didn't watch him at all. But, and again, I'm not comparing the two. I'm just saying that those types of players have a place in this league. And clearly this Rangers power play has not been good despite the fact that they, one, have the firepower, and two, still have the same pieces they had from last year. But what's the difference between last year and this year?
Tony DeAngelo is not on the point.
Thank you. Nailed it.
That's what it is right now.
But Adam Fox is. Now, if you want to go back and you really want to take a look at the numbers, take a look at the numbers from last year when Adam Fox was manning power play unit 1 from last year. And then go take a look at the numbers from when they took him off that power play unit and put Tony DeAngelo on. That's when the Rangers shot up from, I don't know, they were, I think, around maybe 20 or something like that. They shot up to 7. And I think at one point they were even the sixth ranked power play in the league. So
they finished at 7, yes.
Yeah, they finished at 7. I know at one point they were 6th.
All right, well.
I remember seeing it when I was watching it. But regardless, even if they didn't get to 6, if it was just 7, they're a top 7 power play in the league, and you take off the guy who is great at gaining entry to the zone, to the offensive zone, and you take away another option of moving the puck in, aside from Artemi Panarin. Because let's face it, Mika Zibanejad's not a puck mover. He's a trigger man. Chris Kreider ain't going to move the puck because he's not a great playmaker. He's meant to be in front of the net.
Yep.
So your puck moving options are Artemi Panarin, Ryan Strome, and then whatever fifth piece that they want to put with them. In this case, Adam Fox. And while Adam Fox is a good puck mover, he's not a shooting threat. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
You need another shot there. So my suggestion is to fix this power play. You either got to put Capo Caco or Alexi Lafreniere on the far side boards on the right side. That left-handed shot needs to be there. Just like Tampa Bay sets up with their dueling offhand one-timers with Stamkos and Kucherov on the left and the right sides. You need those shots. And Ryan Strome is not a shooting threat. He's not at all. I don't care about 16 goals. I don't care about that. It's not a lot. Matt Barzal scores as many goals as he does a year, and that's not saying a lot. So get Ryan Strome off there. Put Alexi Lafreniere on there. You want that kid to get his first goal, right? You want him to boost his confidence, correct? Put him there. Give him a shot. What do you have to lose at this point? The power play is struggling so badly that what does it matter at this point? And then take Adam Fox off the point. Put him on power play 2. and put Tony D'Angelo back on power play 1. And after Jacob Trouba not being able to make a simple play on the power play that you're taught in, Mark, you've been playing for how many years now?
26.
26. Okay, so you and I have
Yeah.
been playing just as long as we played. When did they teach you to pinch along the boards and put your body in front of the puck to stop the puck from getting out of the zone? When did
I would say they tell you that probably in Pee-wees.
Right, before you even hit double digits.
Yeah.
What is he doing there? Put your body in front of the puck. Jacob Trouba, in an ideal situation, and I think you might get this comparison, is Sheldon Surrey. He's a trigger man. He's not a Montreal's power play in the mid-late 2000s was amazing because of two things. Sheldon Surrey's big blast and Mark Streit and Andrei Markov's great puck movement.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have Jacob Trouba, who really doesn't belong on either power play, because you could put Keandre Miller there because he has the shot. I mean, we clearly saw that the other night.
Yes.
Last night, I should say. I mean, now you could literally fix your power play by personnel decisions, which could segue into why I think David Quinn is a total bonehead.